Preventatives, Homeopathy, Tibetan Medicine, and Ayurveda. For this, we have Venerable Geshe Doji Damdula, Director, Tibet House, as the chairperson. And we have Dr. Aditya Tiwari, MD, Consultant Homeopathy, Psychiatrist, and Art-based Therapist. And Dr. Sona Omula, Minsikang, Sowa-Rigpa, Dharamsala, and Dr. Deepika Gunawan, Senior Consultant Ayurveda and Wellness in Max Multi-Speciality Center in Delhi. I request the chair and speakers to kindly take their respective seats. Dr. Aditya Tiwari will be speaking on homeopathy and mental health. Dr. Sona Omula will be speaking on mental health and well-being in Tibetan medicinal system. Dr. Deepika Gunawan will be speaking on Ayurvedic perspectives on mental health and well-being. I request all the speakers to keep track of the time. Each speaker has 20 minutes. We are running behind the schedule. And now I request the chairperson to proceed with the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. This is our next session, or in a way, the formal session. So we have three prominent speakers who will speak on the health from the point of view of the three different traditions. First, we have Dr. Aditya Tiwari ji, and MD Homeopathy Psychiatry. He's a consulting homeopathic psychiatrist based in Mumbai. He comes from the first batch of MD Psychiatry in Homeopathy from the Mumbai University. And he's also a counselor and certified arts-based therapist since 2010. So he has been practicing for about 10 years in this field, and he believes mental health is the most important aspect that one needs to pay attention to, but unfortunately it is the most neglected due to various social reasons. In order to tackle the issue of taboo and discrimination, our group conducts community awareness programs to create awareness about mental health and encourage people to talk about it and seek help in times of need. He's also a personal meditator and plays on djembe as a hobby. Okay, so it is always very enlightening to listen to the different traditions, particularly a very important topic, the mental health. So we have Dr. Atideji. This is here.
Good morning, respected Geshe ji. Talking about homeopathy, homeopathy basically started as a system of medicine in the 18th century, about 250 years ago. It began as a system of medicine which came out of the So Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, a German physician who was practicing in the old school system, a man of compassion and conscience. While he was practicing medicine, he realized that there was a lot of harm that was happening because of the old school practice, the methods at that time. Sticking to the Hippocratic oath of firstly do no harm, like what we were talking in the morning, that a physician is supposed to be not harming if not being able to treat. So this man gave up on his medical practice and he took up translation work to support himself financially. while he was translating, he came across some information that said that the cinchona bark extract, which was used in treatment of malaria at that time, it cured malaria because it was bitter in taste and had an astringent effect. Now, this was very absurd to hear because there are many things which are bitter, there are many things which can have astringent effect. How can it just cure malaria? Because it is bitter, because there are many other things. Being a person of scientific mind, he wanted to experiment. He took the extract for himself and realized that he himself was developing symptoms which were similar to malaria. Now, he thought this must just be a one-off thing. The effects waned off in some time. He repeated it several times, and every time he took that extract, he found that the symptoms of malaria came back. He didn't have malaria. Obviously, the diagnostics at that time were not so well advanced, but the symptoms came back every time he took. And that's when he realized that it's not that the bitterness of the substance or the astringent effect cured malaria. It cured because it had the properties to produce symptoms of malaria in a healthy individual. And that's when he thought that in nature, something which creates can also cure. That's how the law of similars, which states like cures like, was, I think, discovered. A substance that can produce symptoms in a healthy individual can also cure similar symptoms in sickness. This was the founding principle of homeopathy. The focus is on similar symptoms. It's not that you produce the exact pathology. Without the pathology, there is a set of signs and symptoms, the personal experience of the person that gets created as an effect of the medicine or the medicinal substance that we are trying to understand or trying to use for curative purposes. How do we know these medicinal properties or powers of substances? It's done through a process called drug proving, which means that any substance which we would want to use as a medicine first is proved on a healthy individual in doses which are very minute to ascertain what is the effect of it that happens, noting down the signs and symptoms, noting down the experience of the person, the subjective experience, what is being observed by people around, noting all of this down in a huge compilation called the Materia Medica. So far, over the 250 years, we've had thousands of such substances, more than 5 to 7,000 substances which are being used as medicines in treating individuals. Why so many medicines? I think we'll understand in some time now. The symptoms that are produced by these substances occur in both the physical and the mental realms, both in the physical state and the mental state. And because the effect of these medicines are at both these levels, it also helps in treating symptoms, treating diseases at both of these levels. While experimenting with these medicines and treating his physicians through the homeopathic principle, Dr. Henneman found that whenever the substance was given in a crude form or in large doses, in material doses, the patients would benefit, but there were a lot of other adverse effects that would also come. So he started reducing the quantity of the substance by a process of dilution, and he found that the dilutions were giving much better results without the adverse effects. The dilution was not merely just dilution as in you mix the substance with another diluting substance like water or alcohol, or it's a specific process. It's not just merely mixing up one with the other, but a very specific method of dilution which is called dynamization or potentization, by which the latent curative property or the latent medicinal property of any substance is enhanced, it is brought to surface so that the effects can happen on the system. And as we dynamize the substance further, the minutest we go, the effects of it on the mind, on the mental level, are more enhanced than the physical one. This can be correlated a little later when we talk about where the medicines act. So it'll be interesting to note that when the substance really becomes minute, and there's been a lot of controversy over this, when you take any homeopathic medicine to chemical analysis, you don't really find the substance in it, and that's where the whole controversy is lying. But as we were talking about the experience of an individual, an undeniable fact that you feel something, you experience a certain phenomena within you, those are the kind of phenomena which get created when people go through these drug provings. I have personally been a part of at least 3 or 4 such drug provings, and when the substance is taken, when the medicinal substance is taken for the purpose of proving, you do experience uh, a change in yourself, both at the mental level, at the physical level, a lot, and the dreams, and maybe perception changes, things that wouldn't affect you earlier suddenly start affecting you, whether preferences change. So there is a definite, undeniable, undisputable change that happens on administration of these substances, which don't actually, you cannot find the molecules of the original substance in those dilutions. uh, so it's very difficult to prove in the conventional scientific method of materialism. But when we look at it from the phenomenological point of view, from the experience and the subjective world of an individual, that's where it can be understood that this really works, because there is an effect of one substance on the other organism. The sources of these medicinal substances come from plants, minerals, animal sources, something as inert as common salt. We have common salt every day. It apart from being salty in taste and maintaining the sodium and chloride levels in the body, it doesn't really do much. There is physiological action is there, but more than that, we don't consider it to be of any medicinal effect. But when common salt is potentized or dynamized to the level at which homeopathic medicines work, it is one of the most commonly used remedy. It is one of the most deep acting remedy to cure a lot of pathologies, including of the mind and the body. Poisons are used, poisons which otherwise we would not dream of, taking on for ourselves, in highly diluted formats. It really works at a very deep level, both at the mind and the body. And almost anything and everything that we can practically lay our hands on. There are people who've been experimenting with plastic as a remedy, trying to see if plastic, when it really goes that deep, does it have any so a lot of, I mean, 250 years for any medical system, I think, is relatively younger. It's not really too old, established. I mean, it is established, but it's not really that old where you say everything has been found. New things are coming up every day, new understanding is being evolving every day. Where do the medicines act? Another question which often is asked, and we don't really have a definite answer to there, but I think it acts at the level of the energy, and that's what we postulate, because that subtle energy, I don't know how do we quantify that, I don't know how do we capture it on any scans or any investigation report. How do you capture it? I don't know, apart from the subjective experience that you go through. So it acts on that, and that again becomes a very important uh, concept to know in the practice of medicine when we are doing homeopathy. Our body, and when I say body, it means the mind body complex, or the mind body soul. The organism has natural healing mechanisms which are there by default. Even before any system of medicine was discovered or practiced, the body would, the organism would heal themselves. Not always, and that's why the doctors came. But there is a certain natural growth mechanism, natural healing mechanism, which is there in all of us, which Theoretically speaking, we use the word vital force, but vital principle, life-like vital force, spiritual force, whatever name you give it, is is something which animates the material body. Without it, the body cannot be functioning. The harmonious equilibrium of the various organs that are functioning so nicely with each other is maintained by some energy force which runs the system. Uh, when this energy is running the system, it runs it as a whole. The entire organism functions as a whole, and that's why when we are looking at a person who is sick mentally, physically, or in whatever manner, we have to look at the person as a whole. We cannot say कि खाली kidney खराब है and everything else is fine. You cannot say that, okay, I just have psoriasis but everything else is fine, or you cannot say I just have depression and everything else is fine. It cannot be. It just cannot be. Everybody who is a practicing physician or counselor, or you just look around your people and just say nobody is disturbed only in one part. A person has a small wart on the neck and is so worried. It doesn't look nice. What will people say? I want to cover it. And this is making me awkward all the time. So the whole person, entire person is disturbed. It can never be only one single part. That's one of the most fundamental things. To any stressor, the mind body responds as one. And symptoms as in expressions. When I say symptoms, it's because it's of my vocabulary. Being a doctor, we talk about symptoms all the time, but this is really expression of the body, of the mind, to any stressor, to any challenges, which we understand as the basis or the guide for us to understand what is wrong and what needs to be treated. We would like to believe that there is nothing like a disease, but there are individuals who are sick, individuals who are ill. It's not the name of the disease that we are trying to treat, it is the individual, and the experience of that individual going through a particular pathology is what we would like to treat. And therefore, medicines which are selected on the basis of the individual's uniqueness rather than the name of the disease. So, no two people will be receiving the same treatment for depression as far as a homeopathic approach is concerned. It will be based on that individual uniqueness. Coming from this individual uniqueness, we would like to understand the principle of individualization. A person as a whole, at the same time, that as an individual in themselves, by themselves, with their unique characteristics, with their unique personality traits, with their unique behavioral patterns, with their unique perception about things, with their unique cognitive processing about various things, with their unique learning, with their unique upbringing. When you put everything together, no two people can be alike. Even identical twins are not exactly the same in every manner. So every individual has some uniqueness, some individuality of their own, which is the most important aspect as far as a homeopathic understanding is concerned, because that is what differentiates a general response from a specific response to particular. Like if there was going to be an explosion or there would have been a loud noise outside, all of us sitting here would get startled. That would be a general response. But somebody may think, oh my god, there's some bomb blast, and would really panic. Somebody would think that there's a bomb blast and may just faint. Somebody would say bomb blast and oh, let me go see what has happened. Somebody might say nahi, wo truck ka tire fata hoga. Now how we process that loud sound is very, very unique to us, and that depends on what reaction our system is throwing out. So individualization becomes the most important uh, principle on which the assessment or understanding of a particular person happens. And they also respond differently to different causes. They respond differently to the medicines also. So no two people with depression may be receiving the same medicine. They might be receiving different kind of things. Yeah. The disturbance in the subtle energy creates deviation from health, landing into disease. It starts from more of the functional level first, then goes on to the structural level, which is what the natural process of evolution has been. The function precedes structure. When there is a need for function, that's when a structure is developed. That's how evolution happens. As far as the illness is concerned, the disturbance is always functional and then the structural. If you might remember, all right. Similarly, when we're talking about recovery, we're talking about getting people back to their original state. We may have parameters of health which are general, but at the same time, it is getting them back to their individuality, their normal, so to say. We understand causations as multifactorial, predisposing causes, the things that go behind making a person who they are, the triggers that happen, the maintaining causes, the universal response of disease buildup, failure of adaptation, the psychoneuroendocrine axis, understanding the depth of the pathology, whether it relates only to the psyche, whether it has gone down to the neurological aspect. One important point of consideration is that when we understand the molecular basis of the biological basis of mental illnesses, our understanding is that the disturbance at the neurochemical levels is an effect of the disturbance at the energy level. It may not be the cause of the problem. It could probably be the effect of the problem which is deeper down. Studying the evolution of a person, studying the evolution of the problem, both put together gives us the unique set of uh, a unique kind of a totality which help us in prescribing medicines and the other therapeutic intervention. Integrating other schools of psychology, I will rush through the diagnostic net, which is a grid of the biopsychosocial realms with the causes and the pattern of response that comes up and gives us the complete clinical picture of a particular individual. I think that's in the nutshell that I could go through. There's much more that I don't think we have the time. Right. Just one last thing is that the outcome that we are expecting out of treatment when we are looking at homeopathy is resolution of this. It is not just resolution of the symptoms. It is also resolution of the primary conflict that the person is going through within or the cause of that problem. That cause has to be resolved. There has to be a sense of positive experience of self and better coping up skills with the day-to-day challenges that we come up. Empowering the individual, not being dependent on the medicines. So there is a goal that the person has to be free of medicines also, and it has to stop sometime. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aditya Tiwari-ji. Thank you. And I personally, what I learned from Dr. Tiwari is I don't want to summarize anything for the fear that I may dilute what is said. So therefore, there are many things which we can learn. There are nuances there, nuances about, say, for example, so although there is no atomic something, the molecular or whatever unique there, but the effect is felt. So how that works on the basis of the molecular level or the atomic level, it can be seen, cannot be detected, but still the effect is seen. So there, this tells us the nuances of the reality which we consider as on the atomic level. This is one reality, and there is a reality behind that, which is so empirically experienced, which cannot be denied. Okay, there likewise he presented many nuances, very clear. So next, thank you so much. Yeah, and the next we have Dr. Sonoma Mala, who is designated as research associate and one of the members of Disease Prevention Committee of Menzekang, a Tibetan Medical Center headquarters in Dharamsala. She graduated from the Tibetan Medical and Astro College, Menzekang, Sowa-Rigpa, based in Dharamsala with graduate degree. And she has done a 1-year internship under the senior medical practitioners in New Delhi and South India. Also, she was there in Nizamuddin Tibetan Medical Center for a few years. And she also took part in many of the conferences Tibet has organized. And so we are very lucky to have somebody, a young doctor, and giving the presentation from the Tibetan tradition point of view on the mental health. Yeah, please.
Tashdele, namaste, and thank you, Geshla, for the introduction. So, I'm here to represent Sowa-Rigpa, a Tibetan medicine, which is under the Ministry of Ayush. And some of you may be aware or you have a little information about the Tibetan medicine, Sowa-Rigpa. So, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about what is Sowa-Rigpa. So, Sowa-Rigpa, Sowa, it means to restore or to heal, and Rigpa is a science. So loosely we call it a science of healing, so which has a history of more than 2,500 years. And Tibetan medicine is a science, art, and philosophy that provides a holistic approach to health care and aims to maintain physical, mental, and spiritual health of an individual. So which we are here gathered today to talk about to tackle or to prevent the mental disorder. And it defines health in terms of balance or harmonious relationship between mind and the body. And I believe the system itself is a complete guide for leading healthy way of life with balanced body and mind. So the fundamental concept of Sowa-Rigpa in Tantra, the fourth Tantra text, which is the fundamental text of the Sowa-Rigpa, Tibetan medicine, it is said that all the body or the pathology, the physiology, and the ingredients of the antidotes all revolves around the four elements or the five elements. So therefore, the human body itself is composed of four elements, and the antidote for the disease is also comes from the composed of the four elements, and the disease arises or it came into being because of the imbalance between these four elements. So therefore, the body and the diseases and the remedies are interconnected by the same nature, that is the four elements or the five elements or the Panch Mahabhut. So is it possible to form a body without a mind or a consciousness? So it is very clearly stated in the fourth Tantra text that the non-defective semen and the ovum of parents, consciousness impelled by the karmic force, and afflictive emotions and the assemblage of the five elements are the causes of the conception. So without the consciousness, the conception cannot take place. So it's very important for the conception. And the very topic here, so it starts from this slide. that how exactly the mind provokes the physical illness. So in Tibetan, it is said that in the text, the nenam kungi yuni chikpute tame thema tope mari. So which means the fundamental ignorance, which is the main culprit behind all the disorders that we have. So ignorant mind, which means the not knowing the reality, true nature of the reality, which leads to the self-ego, and then all the mental afflictions like attachment, hatred, closed-mindedness, or delusions, these things come into being, and then from there it arises lung, tipa, and bacon. These are the three main principal energies. So the mind and body are the two complementary constituents of the living beings. Both these elements, body and the mind, are considered as the abodes of the disease as well as of healthy well-being when all these are in a balanced form. So what is the nature of mind or the consciousness? So this morning Geshe-la has already given a slight information about this. So since the Sowa-Rigpa, it follows the concept of the Buddhist philosophy, and the mind, it means the nature of the mind is light, mobile, unobstructable, and clear with the potency that appears to control and perceive various sensory objects. So the consciousness not only just merely appears to depend on the body, but is actually different from the bodily components. Mind or consciousness is formless, invisible, but plays a vital function in maintaining the stability of health. External actions of our body, speech, and mind is determined and controlled by mind through the channels of the nervous system. So, the Lo, Shepa, and Sim, which is also the other synonyms of which defines the nature of mind or consciousness. So these are mainly taken from the Buddhist philosophy. Body and mind relation to sustain life. The entire network of nerves and blood vessels through which lung and blood flow connect the external and the internal part of our body to help in the process of growth and sustain the system. So since these are the basis of our life and they are called tsa, so some of you may be aware of the term lung or vayu or vata in Ayurveda. So this is the one of the main three principal energies, and which helps for us to sustain the life, as well as all the functions of the body, mind, and speech comes from the lung energy. And so I'll skip the second one since we don't have much time. And the understanding of mental disorder in Tibetan medicine, the Sowa-Rigpa. So the mental disorder is primarily considered as a disorder of lung, and particularly the life-sustaining lung. So we have 5 different types of lung, and the main functions of the Soxin lung, when it gets disturbed or imbalanced, then it leads to the mental disorder. So when I look back to my text and read about and analyze about the symptoms, causes, I think it's quite similar with what we are seeing in the Western uh, tradition. I think it's uh, quite similar with the symptoms that is mentioned in our text. Mhm. So the relationship between mind and Soxin Lung. So Soxin Lung, it comes from a basic intermediate consciousness, and it is base of all types of lung, as I told you earlier, and all the movements, whether it's voluntarily or involuntary, it comes from, whether it comes from a body, speech, of mind, are the characteristics of the Soxin Lung. So the function of the Soxin Lung or a life-sustaining lung which is located in the crown of the head and moves through the throat and chest regions. It helps in swelling food, drink, regulates breathing, expels saliva, activates sneeze and burps, and sharpens the mind and sensory organs and controls the mind. So, uh, when we have a mental imbalance, so we will. It's very clearly that the functioning of the Sogzin lung, it gets disrupted, and the actually when it is in balance, it helps to sharpens the mind and the sensory organs and controls the mind. So when it get disrupted, so the functions get disturbed as well. So how mind is associated with the body. So how the positive mindset can actually make you physically stronger. It is due to the fact that the body is connected to the channels, and the channels to the lung, and lung to the mind. And if the physical body is healthy, then the functions of the channels remain optimum, and thus there is a proper movement of lung within the channels, and thus the mind becomes more alert and fresh. So contrary to this, if the mind is healthy, then the lung energy moves smoothly within the body system and enhances the functions of channels, and in return boosts the entire functions of mind and the body. So it acts like a two side of a coin. So in Sowa-Rigpa, the disorders are categorized on the basis of location. So on the location of mind, so we have two chapters which deals with the psychosis and dementia, and and the causes of mental disorder from the oral instruction tantra, semne or psychosis. So low determination, grief, sad, overexertion of mind, incompatible diet and lifestyle, poor mental capabilities cause imbalance in three humors and disturbs the pathway of mental consciousness and results in loss of memory and insanity. So indulge in non-virtuous deeds, unfriendly, staying aloof, rampant destruction of surrounding environments, which Dr. Rana has emphasized this morning, and cease to appease regular rituals. Some may believe or some may not, and grief, mentally tensed, and abuse of the body and speech are the main conditions behind the mental disorders. And the other factors for the body and mind disorder, the factors for body disorder: fasting, tremendous fatigue, residing in unadjusted and unaccustomed place, seasonal effects also, and diet and medicine. And factors for mind disorders are like fear, anxiety, grief, biased, hatred, and jealousy. So both the bodily and mental factors are equally dependable and responsible for mental conditions such as insanity, depression, bipolar, sad, grief, anger, loss of memory, and insomnia, and bodily condition like hypertension, diabetes, indigestion, headache, skin problems, and so on. So during my 6 year clinical practice here in Nizamuddin Clinic in New Delhi, so I have come across many patients who have hypertension, diabetes, and when I rule out the uh, the mm, the main cause behind these problems, and for example, in diabetic patients, so some of them, they complain about the family issues, or they have gone through some uh, mental disorders or something they have lost in their family, so which leads to the elevation of the blood sugar levels, and that leads to the diabetes as well, and also this the psoriasis, eczema, that the skin problems. So these all are the effects of the mind disorder, and that also affects the physical body as well. So, and the preventative measures of the mental health. So the first one is to rule out the root causes. So in my in my second slide, I guess the root cause is the is the ignorance mind, and from there the three mental afflictions. So therefore, the root cause is the ignorance mind. So is to tame your monkey mind. So for that, there are different kinds of, like, a way techniques, so you can adopt and follow or implement in your day-to-day life. And the second things is there is a various therapeutic measures like diet and lifestyle, intervention of medicine, external therapies, counseling, and training of mind by chanting mantras and meditation. And this treatment approach is according to the Sowa-Rigpa, the appropriate treatment of the disorder given to avoid further complications, and promoting digestive heat to avoid indigestion, because we consider digestive heat as a field where it grows all the bodily constituents. Therefore, it is very important for one to strengthen the digestive heat, and decreasing the strength of lung by intake of sweet, sour, salty taste with heavy, oiled, and smooth potency in medicine, and application of massage, horki meza, or and medicinal bath, whereby the blocked channels of mental consciousness is cleansed, and mild enema is also recommended to cleanse the blocked channels. For the since we it is related with the lung disorders, for that the sesame oil is very effective, so you can use the sesame oil to massage. Yeah. And the intervention of diet such as milk, molasses, and warm soup, and presence of like friends, being social, to strengthen your social ties, stay connect with your family, friends, and try yourself to involve more in community works. So these are the very little things that you can contribute to the society, as well as it will gives you an immense pleasure. And soothing music, obviously it will help, and talks can make mind cheerful and lessen the pain, and staying in a warm place is a must too. So management of mental health and its well-being through the medicines in Sowa-Rigpa, there are various types of herbs that helps to calming down your agitated mental state, and to keep your for a well-being as well. And for lung, you can take a warm and nutritious food. And these are very simple tips that you can use when you go back to your home as well. And applying therapies on a specific lung point, the crown chakra, where you can apply the warm oil, and the takpe dugo, which means the occipital bone, and the takpe pukil, it's the back of the head, where the hairlines curls this side, and the throat chakra, which is the connection between the life channel and the heart chakra. So this is very effective. And Tangshu Karnatham, which is in between the chest, and the earlobe, behind the earlobe, and also the cavity, which we consider as the pathway of lung. When the lung get disturbed, so it enters through the air cavity. So you can, if you apply a warm oil on the cavity, it will help you from the tinnitus as well. And palm and the soles, and the first vertebra, which is the lung point. So you can also apply the warm oil, and the sixth and the seventh vertebra. Sixth is the soksa, or the Sogdin lung sang points, and the seventh vertebra is the heart point. So where you can apply this warm oil, and also the 13th vertebra, because it helps in insanity and increasing cold lung. So these are the external therapies which we do in our center: the medicinal bath therapy, horme, and kunye is a massage therapy. And these are the products that we use. And besides the massage therapy, there are certain herbal drinks also, and the incense powder that you can use, and which induces you to have a good sleep as well. And to maintain the mental well-being, as the light of the Buddha Dharma is best to dispel darkness of ignorance, so is the medicine best to heal suffering of diseases. So actions of body, speech, and mind plays an important role in the conditions. For example, negative actions such as thoughts of jealousy, anger, and greed, which ultimately results unhappiness. So do not commit any sin. I think I should. Yeah. Okay. Time of rest. Understand the virtue as much as possible, and uh, the I hope everyone knows about the law of karma. So whatever you do, positive or the negative thing, it comes back to you. So whatever you sow, so shall you reap. So if you want to be happy, or so you should try to do a positive things. And I think I should skip this one. So in conclusion, so no matter how high the bird soars up in the sky, it will separate it from it. It will never separate it from. I think I have missed not. No, it will never separate it from its own shadow. So as long as there is ignorance within your mind, you are not free from sickness. So therefore, the antidote is to tame your monkey mind. And last two shlokas, the stanza I found very effective and helpful. Is from A Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life. The Shantideva said, if there is solution, why there is to be worried? And if there is no solution, what is the use of worrying? So, and the second one is, when you see your mind to be attached or angered, you should neither act nor speak, just remain like a tree. So this is the very simple but very effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sonomala. It's very enlightening, and it's beyond the medical description of the mental health. It's about the philosophy, psychology, and practical application. Thank you so much, particularly you citing the other text by the great teacher, Acharya Bodhisattva Shantideva. His book, Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. Perhaps, if I'm not too presumptuous, that can be taken as the best psychology book in the world in terms of clinical and the application and for your own healing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next we have Dr. Deepika Gunavanji, who is a postgraduate in Ayurvedic medicine and presently works as senior consultant Ayurveda and Wellness in Max Multi-Specialty Center, New Delhi. She has a rich and wide experience of more than 3 decades, ranging from research, clinical teaching, operations, marketing, and regulatory. She has lectured extensively and conducted programs in Europe on various subjects of Ayurveda. She has a number of international articles to her credit and is a co-author of the book entitled The Complete Illustrated Guide to Ayurvedas, published in UK by Element Books. She is the founder, president of the British Association of Accredited Ayurvedic Practitioners in the UK, and founder member of the Central Italian Institute of Oriental Medicine. Okay, Dr. Divikaji.
Namaskar and a very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Geshe-ji, for that introduction, and thank you, Nivedita, for calling me over. This is my second presentation here on behalf of the Tibet House organizing this workshop. Last year we were here, and I think a year has passed and we are here again today. That's what I was telling Nivedita in the morning. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you all here today, and I think it's a very relevant subject, mental health. There's a lot of debate going on whether the awareness has increased or number of mental issues have increased or people have become sensitive. So it's a debate. I'll not throw open that debate now. We'll leave it aside. Statistics, already Nivedita has mentioned in the morning that she has skipped that. rethinking on her presentation. And I think statistics should be left for the researchers to look into. I'm a practitioner, I'm a physician, so I look at ways to improve and ways to cure mental health. And I think as a community, we all owe it to each one of us. It's between all of us. At some point of time, we all go through that mental agony in life. For that matter, even physicians go through. So we all are there to give that hand holding to each one of us, and we should be doing that irrespective of wherever we are, whatever field we are, whatever community we are, whatever religion we are. So, and interestingly, you see, our textbooks, Upanishads always mention, Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. Let all be happy and let all be free from diseases. So we work on that concept, and Ayurveda has very clear concepts on that. Because of paucity of time, and I don't want to stand between lunch and us, so let me start off. Just a couple of slides on introducing what Ayurveda is. It's a Sanskrit word made up of two words, Ayu and Veda. Ayu is life and Veda is knowledge. So it's basically knowledge concerning maintenance of life. Although we see treatments, we see curative part of Ayurveda, there's a lot that talks about preventative part. And that's what is Ayurveda. So it's maintenance of life. This is a Sanskrit verse by Charak. Charak wrote the book Charak Samhita, which is our textbook on internal medicine. And we always refer to that, even to this day, I refer to that book. To whenever I get a very complicated patient, a patient with a lot number of symptoms where the diagnosis becomes difficult. So to maintain my clinical eye intact, because a lot is happening these days, we are looking into investigations, reports. The moment the patient walks in, we say, okay, yeah, investigations karke aao. But I think the clinical eye has lessened over a couple of decades, So we need to have that clinical eye. And whenever the patient walks, we must understand what is going on in his body and what is going on in his mind, both together. It's very important to understand that. And this Sanskrit verse, I'll not read that because time is not allowing it. So what's the translation of that verse or the previous one that I just showed you in Sanskrit? He alone can remain healthy, who takes regulated diet and exercise, who deliberates all his actions, who controls his sensual pleasures, who is generous, just, truthful, forgiving, and who can get along with his kinsmen. What a definition of health, encompassing everything. We are talking about wellness, we are talking about wellness dimensions. This is talking about all dimensions of wellness here. That's the definition. And 5,000 years ago, you can understand the knowledge and the wisdom they had. The WHO definition of health, you just heard in the morning session, they revised it. It was previously absence of disease. Then they brought in that, no, it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Now coming to the topic, mental health. Now, before we talk about mental health and the ways to, stay healthy, and when you are, suffering with mental issues, how to, look at ways to improve it. What is mind in Ayurveda? In Ayurveda, we call it mana. And it is atindriya or super sensual. That means it controls most of your functions. All the functions of your mind are controlled by the mana, as we call it in Ayurveda. So that's the controller of sense organs or indriyas. However, the fundamental functions of mana are thinking, consideration, speculation, concentration, control of senses, determination, self-control, and many others. And out of these, I think the self-control is the most important aspect when we are talking about mental health. In Ayurveda, there are 3 Sharirik doshas, body doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And similarly, there are 3 2 mind doshas as well, which are Rajas and Tamas, and one is the Sattva, or the purest of the mind. So that's not considered as a dosha because that is not cannot be, it doesn't stay in imbalance. That's always in balance. So therefore we consider two, rajas and tamas. And many of you in this room would be knowing tamasic feeling, rajasic feelings. People have different types of attributes. The body and the mind are both considered to be the abodes of diseases, likewise of well-being. These two are so interrelated that they cannot be separated from each other. You will see, I'll share a couple of examples with you and you will see that. And how are they dealt with? With medication, lifestyle changes, diet control, spiritual knowledge, fortitude, remembrance, concentration, a whole lot of things. And we know we all have a psychosomatic approach to most of the diseases. It has to be. You cannot separate mental diseases from physical diseases, because you will see there are many cases, many diseases where a physical symptom will lead to a mental problem, or a mental problem will lead to a physical presentation. So they are interconnected. So we need to have a psychosomatic approach, unless it's a very clear-cut case where you need to deal with the structure or the physical ailments. But there again also, if somebody is diagnosed with a cancer, he will go through hell of a time mentally. So you need to improve the mental condition. You need to improve the immunity of the person. So there are lots of things that go together. And the most important thing is know thyself. You have to know yourself. Everybody is an individual. And in Ayurveda we say Prakriti. That's the individual constitution. Physical traits, mental traits. So you have to have that. You need to know and understand your own self. Know thyself. Atmanam Viddhi. If you don't know yourself, you'll not be able to ask for treatment, ask for help, get yourself better. Charak has very elaborately mentioned that there are three main causes of diseases. What are the three main causes? Unwholesome contact of sense organs with their objects, which is in Sanskrit known as asatma indriyartha sanyog. The second is pragyaparat, which is intellect impairment. Parinam, seasonal changes contrary to normal variations. Now, all three causes, any number of diseases that come to your mind, just think about it. They'll fall in one of these three. There won't be a fourth thing. Gut issues. I just thought I'll share some new news articles on health, which will set the ball rolling, and then I'll talk about what Ayurveda offers. Gut issues in kids may impact mental health. Now, these are all researches that have happened. And if you Google it, you will be able to see this. And I'll not go into detail and reading of the research. Another one, smoking may damage mental health too. Now, smoking is what? Intellect impairment. You know it is bad for your health. And the previous one was gut issues in kids may impact mental health. Asatma indriyartha sayog, unwholesome contact of the sense organs. So I'm just sharing some examples. Air pollution linked to psychiatric illnesses. Isn't that a seasonal problem? It's to do with the environment, with the air. It may have other etiological factors as well, but the main reason. So the three causative factors, I've given you three examples. And air pollution is the main cause, and we have seen it in Delhi. For a lot of lung issues, skin issues, respiratory issues in children, elderly, geriatric population, it's a major cause of concern. Now coming to Ayurveda, important aspects for good health. I may have to skip a couple of slides, so please bear with me, because I have to keep an eye on the watch as well before that slip comes from there. Important aspects for good health. Ahar, Nidra, Brahmacharya, Dinacharya, Sadvrit, Nidan Parivarjan, meditation, mental health. All of these are important for mental health. Now, Ahar, we know food, nutritious food. Nidra, sleep. Brahmacharya, maintaining a healthy sexual life. Dinacharya, daily biological clock, your circadian rhythm. Sadvrit, moral and ethical conduct that you do. Nidan Parivarjan, getting rid of the etiological factors. Whatever treatment you give, if the etiological factors persist, no disease can be cured. So in case of mental health, you know how important it is to have a family that will be standing next to you. And therefore, the physician has a very important role to play to treat the family members and to treat the patient. Meditation, mental health. I'll not go into the details. Diet and digestion are specialties of Ayurveda. That's why I spend nearly 50 minutes seeing my patient. I'll go through take a thorough history and then give him understanding of the diet, what is lacking, what are the gaps, what they need to do, how they need to do the lifestyle changes, everything. So that takes time. So diet and digestion are specialties of Ayurveda. They play an enormous role in any self-healing program. Effect of diet and food on brain functions. Now, I'm just bringing in a bit of research so that, your mind also starts thinking in that direction. There is that. And people have become like that, evidence-based. What is the research? Why do you are asking me to do that? So let me bring a bit of that. Recent research indicates that in addition to the influence of food on the gut, it affects our heart and brain working as well. Some diets appear to aid mental functioning while others harm it. You may have seen it in your daily lives. If the day your diet is good and you have eaten well, you are in a different frame of mind. The day you have not eaten well or there's something wrong, you are irritated, you are not in your real, form. There is a growing this discipline emerging, nutritional neuroscience, shedding light on the fact that nutritional factors are intertwined with human cognition, behavior, and emotions. So that is now another discipline. Stress affects the gut. In irritable bowel syndrome, many of you, I don't know if any of you know your friends or anybody who have been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. There is a direct link to the stress, anxiety, depression. However hard you may try to treat the physical symptoms, if that persists, if the mental stress persists, you will never be able to achieve the results. Diet and sleeping patterns can affect your metabolism. So I'll not go into the details. Sleep. This morning I had read another interesting article while I was doing all this and had done it, that sleep is important in children aged between 7 and 9. There was a research done at Warwick University, London, UK. And they saw that children who slept less number of hours were having behavioral issues, anxiety, depression, poor cognitive functions. And when they slept for 9 hours, they did that study over a period of time. When they slept for 9 hours, they were better off. So you can imagine how sleep. And I'll tell you how sleep deprivation is affecting our children. Some people can't sleep because they have insomnia, and I can't sleep because I have internet. And I tell you, this is the main cause. Main cause, because everybody is on their screen, spending their time. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, why couldn't you sleep? I was working. Now, if you can't work between 9 and 6, then you better not work. When are you giving your body to reboot? You reboot the computer, but you're not giving your body a chance to rest, rewind. You need to do that. And that too on a daily basis. Don't think of a holiday after 6 months, that I'll go on a holiday and I'll rewind. That doesn't work. It has to be on a daily basis, my dear friends. So I'll not go into the details. The body heals during sleep time. Memory consolidation occurs during sleep. Sleep for 7 to 8 hours to maintain optimal health. A well-spent day brings happy sleep. Yes, I knew this is coming. Yes. So Dinacharya is again circadian rhythm, which we need to follow on a daily basis. What time we get up, how do we eat, what time we eat, how do we interact with people, all that is part of our daily sync with natural cycle. So nature is a great healer. Please go out, spend some time in the greenery. Now, this was an exercise that I normally do when I do some classes with groups, but we don't have time, so I will not do it here. It's about 8 hours. So 8 hours if you sleep and 8 hours if you work. The next 8 hours, what all you do. So that's an exercise we do. You all can do it at home and see how much time do you spend and how much time you pull out from your sleep time to attend to those things. Now, this is the Ayurvedic perspective. I'll not go into detail. Self-discipline is very important. You need to understand that. And the wisdom of Ayurveda lies in incorporating a code of conduct. And we call it as part of Rasayan therapy. Rasayan is a very important aspect in Ayurveda, where we talk about rejuvenation, we talk about, coming out of maintaining a disciplined life. And it's not only medication, it's also following a set of conduct in your life. These are all Rasayans. As I said, Rasayan for mental health is known as Medhya Rasayan, and there are a whole lot of herbs mentioned in that. Now look at this high blood pressure. And if you look at how to prevent it, I'll just quickly take you through. Reduce salt intake, more vegetables, lose weight, minimize alcohol, stop smoking, 30 to 60 minutes of exercise every day, reduce stress and relax. Where is the medication here? It's all about your lifestyle, what you do with yourself. So you have to take and make an effort. You go to a doctor, take medicines for high blood pressure, and then say, oh, it's not working. After 3 months, he adds another one. Then I add another one. Then you are landing up with 4 medicines for high blood pressure, but you will not control these things. Isn't that wrong? Another study that I thought I must share with you is 23,000 people were studied for adherence to 4 simple behaviors. Now, if you stick to that, no smoking, exercising 3.5 hours a day, a healthy diet and a healthy weight, in those adhering to these, 93% of diabetes, 81% of heart attacks, and 50% of strokes, and 36% of all cancers were prevented. Now, it's all in your hand. Meditation, I'm not going into the details. So good habits lead to good health. And everything is a product of consistency. You can't say, oh, I've been following a very good habit for the last 5 years, but then why am I suffering? It has to be a part of your life, a daily life. There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy. Pick up any one. And we know human life is simple. We complicate it. Technology is complicating it. We need to be on the Twitter. We need to be on the Facebook. We need to be on the net. Fine, stay in tune with the technology, but that should not rule your life. What are the ways to improve mental health? So many ways. Spend time with nature, stay active on a daily basis, meditate, be kind to yourself, do a task that you enjoy, sleep and rest adequately, watch and listen to something that uplifts your mood, develop an attitude of gratitude, be kind and compassionate. You've been listening this morning as well. Talk about your problems with family and people you trust. Help and share with others, especially those in it. Sharing. That's what Dr. Rana said. So, eat nutritious food and drink lots of water. Stay in tune with the natural cycle of the day. Stay away from negativity and negative people. Avoid social comparisons. Make a list of feel-good things. Bask in the sun every day. Smile a lot. Understand the difference between pleasure and happiness. Use good quality spices in making and meals to maintain and improve micronutrients in our body. Take breaks off social media and your phone, very important. Again, way forward, so I'll not go into the details. Understand how one's digestive system, yes, I'm almost done. Key to health and optimal weight. Learn how to use foods and spices to lose weight while nourishing the body and maintaining energy. Become mindful of tendency to gain weight and cultivate the body's innate ability to seek balance. Your body has an innate capacity, I must tell you. Learn yoga postures, breathing exercises to facilitate improvement in metabolism and help reduce fat. Learn simple cleansing diet, which is applicable in spring, natural time to cleanse the body. And Panchkarma in Ayurveda is recommended. And if you ask me, Panchkarma has a lot of therapies in it. And if serotonin secretes in your digestive system, last part of your digestive system, I think Panchkarma does help in keeping you happy. I thought I would share a video with you which shows the difference between pleasure and happiness. Sorry, paucity of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deepikaji. Thank you so much. Very enlightening indeed, and very uplifting. and the message that we all should be taking away, on top of very holistic presentation that we made of a good health, where you don't have to spend anything, in a very holistic way. And the fun one is, let not the technology govern us, let you govern the technologies. This is an amazing message for all of us, which is so relevant. Thank you so much. Due to constraint of time, we cannot take questions. And if you are, of course, I know that you have many questions during the lunch break. Feel free to meet with our three prominent area speakers. You can ask your questions to them then. Okay, thank you so much, all three of the speakers. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Before concluding, I would like to request Venerable Geshe-la to kindly offer the souvenir and katha to our respected speakers. Thank you, Geshe-la, and we shall take for the lunch break, and we will be starting our next session, presentations on yoga therapy, Buddhist psychology. Sorry. Session 2, presentation on neuroscience, Indian psychology and Western psychology at 1:45.